a lot of times in Christmas, right, we tend to focus on like Mary and the hardship that she went through to deliver in a manger. And everyone knows the story.
Right.
But what do you think about the fact that God himself actually became human, a man, a baby,
Came into the world.
humbled himself to like come down and live with us, to show us, and to bring salvation to it,
It speaks volume.
Well, and you think about that too. I mean, we think about all the things that we walk through as humans, well, even just infants or babies. You gotta have someone is wiping your butt.
Yeah.
You're
walk through
you're
bills?
going through,
Did he walk through bills? Did he have to pay bills? I would like him to take that away. A bill, Lord. Take every bill I got away.
I came with you.
Go ahead.
Those student loans, though. I'm playing.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, but he legit, there's no other religion that I know of anyway where their small g, God, would come down and humble himself in such a way as big G, God did,
Yeah.
Like he was fully human,
Yeah.
right? Like Jesus he went through everything that we went through growing up. Of course, he always had that kingdom perspective, but that doesn't mean that he didn't struggle,
Right.
Well, and I think that's what allows us to feel like when we're saying those prayers, like he relates, like he gets it. And I think if we don't really believe that he was fully human, then how am I supposed to be able to trust him with some of the stuff I'm walking through?
Right.
Because I'm like, Lord, you don't know. Like you don't know. But I think when it becomes real to us that he became man, like he humbled himself as much as you could humble yourself, came from the highest of high to the lowest of low. And he walked through the stuff I'm walking through and beyond that, So I think that you just knowing that and believing that your relationship with the Lord is deepened.
Right.
And you get to a whole nother level, a whole nother realness with God when you can be like, Lord, you get it. Like you don't just tell us that you got us and you hear us, but you walked it, you lived it, and you did it. It wasn't that it was easy for you, but you did. On the other side, you came out as God. You made the right choices,
Right.
It's hard for me to wrap my mind around Jesus as a teenager.
Yeah. Oh.
Knowing what I did to my parents. There were
Can
only
you
three
imagine
of us.
Jesus? His voice is changing.
Yeah. It's hard.
It
But
is
the
hard.
thing is, his first miracle is keeping the party going,
Yeah.
or turning water into wine. I mean, did he know from his birth that he was the Son of Man? I don't. And
Yeah.
then did that change the way that he interacted with other teenagers?
Well, we know what happened at 12 when he went, when they took him to
temple?
Jerusalem, to the temple.
Yeah.
And he clearly had a sense then,
Yeah.
no, I've got another work. I've got another calling. There's something else in me that stirs. And so there was some awareness, whatever that looked like for him.
But did he ever cheat on a math test? Or did he ever...
I'm going with no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking not.
Yeah.
If I'm supposed to be like Jesus, I just have to think about what I went through or what I did to my parents growing up, and I'm thinking, okay, so that's where forgiveness comes in.
Was he extroverted? Was he introverted?
Yeah.
Was he shy and bashful? Was he kind of all out there? All cylinders firing. Well, I wonder what that was like. What do you suppose? How does it play out in your own mind?
I think he was shy for the most part
you?
until he knew his true calling.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was shy, and then, he started learning what he could do, or what he could do for people, and then that's when he took full power and did all the things he did.
When I look at or consider the responses that he gave to questions as an adult, I have to wonder, was he that way as a young person? Did he think about what people were asking him? Did he think about things? Did he really, before he spoke? Because in my mind, you know, when he responds to the Sadducees and the Pharisees and the teachers, whoever, I envision that he paused and thought for a moment before he spoke. So I'm wondering if that was his whole life. If he always thought, you know, I'm speaking on behalf of my Father here.
Right.
So you don't see him as the kid in class, always with his hand. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, fine, Jesus. What's the, you know?
Yeah, he was one of those kids.
In my story, he was not. He was the quiet one, just, you know, taking everything in, like learning, watching people, learning different
See, that's-
ways,
Yeah.
different cultures. So when he actually preached and answered those, you know, questions, he knew the right answer because he has studied the people before.
See,
That's my Jesus.
that's kind of what I'm thinking too.
Would we recognize him, I wonder? Would we just
I
look like
don't think
another
so.
kid?
Did he
I-
feel
I-
different? Did he feel like
Yeah.
he was like, you know?
Well, I come back to him at 12 in the temple. Even then, the priests and all those gathered, they were kind of scratching their heads saying, boy, we got one here. This kid is, he's precocious. Man, he's plugged in. So would we recognize him in a crowd? Maybe not, but to interact,
listen.
I have to think, Lori, I have to think that there would be, if you're in tune with this, there'd be something that you're kind of, there's something about him. You know, maybe I can't put my finger on it, but he might not be the first one to speak, but when he does, man, he just nails that answer. That's an image that I have in my own imagination.
It brings me back to what we were talking about connecting, though. I mean, like, would we see him and go by? Because you wouldn't recognize him in that way if you just walked by him on the street. You'd have to actually engage,
right.
and you'd have to sit, and you'd have to recognize the possibility of something otherworldly in this human being. And I don't know. So often, again, I just keep coming back to that idea that we just kind of pass by people. Would I pass by him? I wonder what my response would be. Like, would I engage with him? Sorry, microphone. Would I engage with him? Would I don't know. You know, it's interesting, but you would have to, again, you would have to engage with him. You would have to connect with him. You would have to stop doing what you were doing. You'd have to put the kettles down, and you'd have to stop the paperwork and actually sit for just a minute and listen to him to really recognize the Messiah. So how much do we miss? How often is he present? And we walk by him and we choose something else. And we only recognize him when we sit at his feet.